All right, beautiful. Welcome, everybody. This is our Thursday Zoom. These are regularly scheduled, and today we have an amazing second edition of our frequency school for the month. We were scheduled to have this beautiful, humble frequency wizard speak with us last week, and he ended up having to reschedule. So he is here with us today. His name is Derek Nakamura, and we're going to hear from him very, very shortly. But before I bring Derek to the mic, I just want to read a little compliance statement, which is found on the website, because we're going to be talking about all things frequency today, and lots and lots of topics are going to be covered. So I just want to read this before I bring Derek to the mic. The individualized microcurrent frequency programs of the Healy are not medical applications. They are not intended to cure, treat, mitigate, diagnose, or prevent disease, and have not been reviewed by the FDA. The information on this Zoom is for reference and educational purposes only. It should not be treated as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. You should always seek such advice from a qualified medical professional. So now that we have that cleared, I am so excited to welcome this man to the and introduce him to all of you. So Derek is somebody who I first came into contact with quite a long time ago when I very first got my Healy, because he's a time waiver practitioner, which means that he has studied extensively with Marcus over the years to be able to use and administer frequencies and create frequency protocols through Healy's parent company, Healy's mama, which is called Time Waver. And so Derek is one of the incredible people that can actually use that technology, as it was originally created, and he is a certified therapist with that technology and someone who can not only administer but also create custom programs through that technology. So he's someone who has been part of this community for quite some time. If you've ever done, I'm actually curious, if you have ever done a quantum launch social media challenge, let us know in the comments if you got Derek's Quantum Leap program for completing that, because we've done this multiple times. And it's always such a huge favorite with everybody. So you're getting a lot of comments here, Derek, in the chat. I personally have quite a few of Derek's programs, and I'm looking forward to working with him deeper. And we also have a number of people in the community who have created custom programs with Derek for wider use. So if you have done that, let us know in the comments so that we know what you have, what you've made with Derek. And that's also like a service that something that he provides, is like being able to create, kind of come up with and build out a protocol that is for greater use. So I know Annie's doing one for magic. So with all that being said, Derek, I'm gonna find you and unmute you. So hold on, let me get to you here. And yes, there you are. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute you here. Are you there?
Am I there?
You are.
Am I there? Hey, aloha, everyone.
Aloha, Derek. So thank you again so much for taking your beautiful time and sharing with us. And I'd love to just start out here with, just a little introduction. Like, can you just share with us a little bit about who you are and how you came into this field of frequency therapy?
Okay, well, my name is Derek Itatsu Nakamura. So I'm Japanese and actually part Filipino. And my parents are both from Hawaii. So that's where my roots are. My dad was born here on the Big Island. My mom was born in Oahu, and they actually moved to LA and met each other. And that's where I was born. So I kind of had a little bit different life. I grew up in LA and LA life. You guys know about LA. But you ever heard of a thug? That was me. So I actually got involved with drugs, alcohol at 13. Was in jail at 14, and then became a drug dealer, drug addict, and I did all that stuff in LA. But I moved to Hawaii and had a transformation. So now I'm about helping raise the vibration.
Amazing. Derek, you're a little bit quiet for us.
Okay. Because it's 6 a.m. in the morning, I didn't want to wake anybody up. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Did you all hear that? My thug life?
Maybe you
Okay.
can repeat it, just give us the brief.
Just a little bit? Okay, everybody. I just was telling everybody that actually, my parents, I'm Japanese and Filipino. My mother was Filipino, my father was Japanese. They're both born in Hawaii. Father born on the Big Island here, and my mother was born in Oahu. And they actually moved to LA and met each other. So that's where I grew up, and that's where I had my thug life. Started off like with drugs, alcohol, and tobacco at 13, in jail at 14, and I did, broken the houses, cars, whatever, anything you could do that was kind of opposite of what you're supposed to do. But actually, that I appreciate all of that actually, because it made me who I am, and now I get to help raise the vibration of the planet, where I wasn't doing that before. I was kind of doing it now. That I had a transformation when I moved to Hawaii, and so a little bit about me, and yeah, it's much better to help people than hurt.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Derek. So there's still a little bit of chat that it's slightly muffled, but I can hear you fine. So if you're having a hard time,
I know what. Better.
yeah, that's way better. That sounds much better.
I had this plugged in that wasn't working, so
Yay.
I got my Mag Healy going too, though.
Yay, beautiful. So
I made a necklace here. Can you hear me? I made a necklace actually and attached it to it so I can wear it, because some of the programs are supposed to wear about right here. And anyway, it's kind of hard to do it when you're standing up.
I've had many a Mag Healy fall.
Yeah.
So that's a great invention. Yeah, the most beautiful bling I'm seeing in the comments. Amazing. So that was like, a beautiful kind of background of who you are and how came up in the world. And then can you just share with us like what brought you to Healy and to Time Weaver?
Okay, well, that story, I after my thug life and transformation, I actually I became a massage therapist, and that was back in the year 2000. And it's kind of just evolved into different modalities. My wife actually, who I met in 2003, 2002, we got married in 2005. She's made in Japan, and she went and got this session there with a bioresonance type of device called it's called Megatron. And when she came back, she says, "Oh, we got to get one of those." And I said, "Well, where is it from?" She said, "It's from Russia." So she wanted me to go to Russia and learn Russian and make this thing work. And I didn't want to do that. So I searched online and I found a device called Elibra made in the UK. And so we ended up getting that, and we used that. That was back in about 2010. We used that for about 2 years, and then I found Time Weaver, and I go, "Oh, this one is amazing." So we ended up getting the Time Weaver system. It was back then, it was called Time Weaver Med. And what that one is, it's kind of like, it is the mothership, one of them, to the Healy, which is the Blue app, the resonance side. So, I mean, I have the coaching module, I have organ coherence, I have wave genetics, I have all these modules that I use with kind of the Blue app side. And it's amazing, because that's the one when you can send, quantumly do quantum entanglement wherever, all over the world. So we started doing that in 2012. 2017, I went to the conference in Germany, and I got to meet the whole team, and it was amazing because there was about 400 and something people, all time waiver people, and the energy. I know, when you get a bunch of Healy people together, or any type of group, and everybody's talking the same language, it's just amazing. So I picked up the time waiver frequency, and that device is the one that sends little microcurrents and allows me to make programs for the Healy. And it's just been a wild journey. Now, I want to say, I guess I'm a little famous because I got programs pretty much all over the world. When I get my orders on my website, it tells me where they're coming from. And now that Canada's opened up, Canada's big, Mexico, I got one in Zimbabwe, even Dubai. I mean, yeah. So, I'm actually helping raise the vibration of the planet. And because the programs are all over the world. So it's what I'm supposed to do anyway. So that's kind of how it started, because my wife got a treatment, or not a treatment, actually, kind of a scan, and it really matched her. And that's kind of how Healy works. When you do an aura scan, and if you've ever noticed that, and you kind of go, wow, how does it know that? And whenever I do a session, I usually tell people, be ready, because time waiver kind of looks in the mirror, but it also looks in the closet and finds things that are going on that maybe only you know, and you want to keep in the closet. But actually, what it's doing is it's bringing it up, because probably these are things you need to release. And also, I want to see some of the programs. I know some of you have them. I've had feedback where, oh, why am I feeling that again? Well, it's showing you what you really need to work on and release. And once you do that, you're good to go.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Derek. And so, so I'm hearing that time waiver itself has one entire system that is basically the blue app, and then it has a other system that's the pink app.
Yes. So
we have brand new people on here right now who are kind of just their first introduction to what all of this is. And I also love, I just want to say, I love what you said about it shows you what's in the mirror, but also in the closet. That
yeah.
I want to have that written somewhere. But can you just give us a really brief, or kind of, well, as detailed as you want to get, what is actually going on? What is the technology that you're working with? How does it work? What does it do? Give us a little bit of a depth of understanding from your perspective.
Okay, well, what it is, we have hardware, and Healy's a hardware. It's this big, and my devices are about 14 by 16 inches wide. And what they do is it has something called a quantum resonator in there, and also a noise generator. And what it does is it when we add you as a client, and we get a vibration, and we get your name and maybe a picture, all that, what it's doing is connecting to you, to it's your information field. And I call that consciousness. And so it's connecting to that. And what happens is it scans your information field, and what it's looking for cell voltage. And what it does is anything that's below a minus 70 millivolts, because minus 70 millivolts is a normal functioning cell. That's the energy in it. And what happens is anything below that, it'll say, okay, something's going on there. Let's balance that. So what it does is let's see. So it's a little bit different between the Healy and the time waiver units, because let's see, everything's done kind of a little bit automatic with the time waiver. So if we're talking about Healy, what it does is it scans you every 10 seconds after it sends you a frequency, and it comes back and it says, okay, well, you need this one now. And That's what it's doing. It's really kind of tuning your cells, because I tell people we're like a big piano and all of our cells are a different string. And what happens is sometimes that cell gets out of tune, or that string. And what Healy does with frequencies is it just brings it back. It's like a tuner, and it brings it back to that exact frequency that's supposed to be the right tune. And then you're playing the right tune again instead of being a little bit off. And basically that's what it does. So cell voltages, when that comes up a little bit low, it wants to send you tune it up. And so we're tuning up our cells with frequencies.
Beautiful. And so is that, and by the way, anyone who has questions, please just let us know in the chat. You can type your questions right on into the chat here and we'll get them all answered. But I have a question. So in terms of the difference between the blue app and the pink app, I know that the pink app is sending microcurrent like into your system, or using the coil. So just explain a little bit more like the difference between how these two systems actually impact the cell voltage of the cells.
Okay, so when we're using microcurrents, we're usually using the bracelets. We have sticky pads, and then I don't know, some of you might have ear clips if you're not in the US. US doesn't allow it, or they just don't include it in your package. And what we're doing is we're getting frequencies through microcurrent, milliamps, and that's getting to your cells and tuning them up. Now, when we use the coil, that's a different form of a field that it creates. It creates kind of a torus field, which it's like this, and out, it's doing this field, and that's broadcasting the frequencies in a field. We also have a magnetic resonator in the Healy that's built into it. And if you don't use wires, you're getting it in a magnetic form. And that's kind of why we call it the Mag Healy, because it has two magnets in there also that are broadcasting the frequencies in a magnetic field. Maybe about, when I went to talk to Marcus, we had between 3 meters and maybe 9 meters, somewhere in between there. And what that's doing, it's creating a magnetic field around you. So we have the atmosphere programs, and you can just place that in there, and it should affect the room, in about a 3 meter radius. So it's working with, magnets, and it's working when you use the coil. It has this different type of converting the frequency to a different field, kind of, and microcurrents when you're hooked up to the wires.
Okay. So we're getting a bunch of questions here.
Okay, they're just zipping by.
I'm gonna pull out some here. So here's a really good question that
Okay.
that I've seen as people use the Healy, like especially at the beginning of their relationship with the device. Can you just talk a little bit about this question is, can you ever overdo the frequencies, like put your cells into overdrive? So can you just share a little bit about, how this is, and there are also questions that we've gotten, which are like, how do I know that this is going to do good things for me and not the opposite, right? Like, so how can you just explain a little bit about, how this is actually working with the body? Can you overdo it? Is it like, what's happening in the actual system?
Okay, you actually can overdo it. And there's a couple posts there when Healy first came up where someone, I think she tried every program, I'm not sure in the same day, but she had a really bad reaction. And I tell people that detox reaction is you're either going to be super tired, you're going to be nauseous, maybe headaches, dizzy, even diarrhea, that kind of thing. really fatigue, so you can overdo it. Everybody's a little bit different. So when you're first starting out, they do recommend the gold cycles, and that's probably the best place to start. We have some really nice programs in there, pure release. And you want to start off a little bit slow so your body can actually get used to, getting little microcurrents put through it and changing your cells, the voltages. So you can overdo it. So just listen to your body, and when you start feeling that way, just stop, take a rest, and start slowly again. That question about can bad things be put through it? Time Waver, there's a program, it's programmed not to do that. We don't have any bad frequencies in there, nothing like that. I sure don't put those in there because that's what I'm not about anymore. And there aren't any anyway that I would put in there. So you really can't do it with Time Waver. It's programmed in there not to send you anything negative and something that'll hurt you. So is that
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and so that's my understanding as well, is that Marcus,
Mhm.
When he created this technology, that he has created it in such a way that it cannot be used. Yeah, and can you actually just share? So one of the questions is, what would a bad frequency be? Curious about how to respond to a question like this. Like, are there even, I mean, from my understanding, like a frequency is neutral, right? So it's just harmonizing to that resonant energy.
There's bad frequencies out there. I don't want to get too much into it, but we're kind of being blasted with things like chemtrails, little jabs and things like that. Those are bad frequencies. Everything is a frequency, everything has a vibration, and there are those out there. So but Marcus, again, is he was a monk. He did that for 13 years, and he's also has the physicist's mind. And what he did was he brought those two together as kind of like it's a bridge for your intentions and your consciousness. And what it is, it's a device. I have the Time Wavers, we have the Healy, Mag Healy, and it's connecting your intentions to your consciousness. That's what it is. That's what the Blue app does. That's what the Pink app does, actually. Like, I got some special programs out there that I'm actually using intentions that you're receiving through the Pink app. So you have any a few of the programs that I have, maybe Ho'oponopono, that one is pretty much I'm sending you affirmations and intentions. So that's how it works.
Beautiful. I have that program and I love it. And I'm wondering, okay, so we have someone else is asking like a little bit. So some of the questions that are coming in are around the coil versus the microcurrents, and
Okay.
I'll know that the microcurrent itself is really powerful for the cell, like ATP production. Can you does the coil also impact the cells in the same way with the ATP?
Okay, yeah. So what we're doing is we are raising ATP, which is its energy for the cells. And with microcurrent, yes, we do that. And with the coil, we do that also. But my experience is microcurrents are good for anything physical, just like Sarah mentioned. In the psychological topics, let's say for emotions and maybe things like opening your third eye, things like that. I would say that the coil works good with that. But anything more physical, you do want to use the microcurrents because you're tuning your cells. It just I hate to use this analogy, but it's like when you take a shot, things get to you really quick. Where if you take a pill or if you rub a cream on you, it takes a little while longer, but it'll get there. So I feel the coil is kind of like a cream where it's going to get there. It just gets there a little bit different and it takes a little bit longer. Where when you use the current, you're just getting a blast, like sticking your finger in the outlet. Don't do that, but it's like sticking your finger and getting shocked. So that's my take on coil and wires. And you really do want to use the wires even for the other topics also, just every now and then. But if you want to concentrate on, you can use the coil and wires every now and then for psychological, those type of topics. And the physical ones, you kind of want to stick with the wires, and you can use the coil, maybe at night when you're sleeping so that you don't get all tangled up and strangle yourself. So that's my take on the coil and the wires, and through my experience. We did, when we first got the coil, we actually, my wife and I put it between us, and there was, they have one program that we tested, and we both could feel it. It was pretty strong. So we also did an experiment where I actually have these, in my system, we have these tubes these handheld electrodes. So you actually hold them in your hand. That's how we did when you came in to get your frequencies, you had to come to my office and drink Mai Tais and hold these two electrodes. And that's how we used to do it. But now we have the Healy. But we did the experiment where I had a program and I was holding in my left hand and my wife was holding in her right hand, and then we held hands and we could feel the current going through us. It was pretty wild. So we both got the program at the same time while holding hands. So maybe you can try that, some of you.
Wow, that's amazing. I want to try that. And so I love your analogy, the cream, and
Mhm.
like I think that really that's a great visual for people.
Mhm.
And it also kind of we have had a lot of questions that you kind of alluded to here, which is that when you have a program running on the coil, can it be working with multiple different people at the same time? Or is the coil, so I think, okay, I want to wrap my brain around all the different pieces here.
Mhm.
Related question, which is the quantum sensor is what is actually scanning the system every 10 seconds, right? And that's in the blue app as well as the pink app, correct?
That's it. It's in both. Mhm.
Okay, so the quantum it's not just the scanner, it's not just the resonance scan. Like some people I've had asked, like, okay, if I don't have the blue app, am I still getting the quantum sensor? And the quantum sensor is in the pink app as well, and it's what is constantly asking your body, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Is this correct right now? Is this
Right.
not?
That's reading it, and we have a noise generator that actually sends us a signal so that can receive it. So that way it scans and it knows. So you'll see these percentages on when you're running it. Gosh, it'll say 20% progress or 30% progress minus. What that's telling you is that's kind of like a gas gauge, and it's telling you how much the program is in your cells. And it sometimes it goes back to minus 99, which is okay, because it's scanning different frequencies and it's trying to get you balanced. So you'll see that percentage, and that's what that means, the progress one. That's kind of the gas gauge of the program to see how much you're filled up. And some of the programs, if you notice, they do finish a little early, even though it says when it begins 45 minutes, it'll sometimes half an hour, and people go, wow, something's wrong with it. But what's happening is again, it scans your cells. And when your cell is full, it moves on to the next frequency. So let's say it only spent 10 seconds on 50 hertz. Okay, let's go to 51 hertz. And it gets to play with that one. So the programs will end early sometimes if your cells are full, if you're kind of tuned up already with that program. So that's what happens. I know I get that question a lot. My program stopped so early now. What's happening? It used to go all the way. Well, that's a good thing because your cells are tuning up quicker, or you don't need it as much. So yeah, don't think that's a bad thing. It's just your cells have had enough.
Beautiful. Yeah, and that's, you know, I've heard that explained as well, that it's like it's actually gauging the saturation, like it's actually saturating your certain frequency. Okay, so another question, what, like, since you have used different frequency technology, what in your opinion is kind of what makes Healy unique? Like, what are the things that are really only part of Healy or Time
Well,
Waver?
Well, you know, Healy is the child from Time Waver and the two systems I have, it's Frequency and the Pro. So that makes it pretty unique, and that makes it, you know, lucky for you guys. You guys didn't have to pay the big bucks like me. Yeah, I have.
The Time
What's
Waver,
that?
how much does a Time Waver system cost?
Well, you know, you can get the base one, maybe 20, 23,000, just for the, let's say, the Time Waver Pro, and then frequencies another 20, depending on what modules you add to it. I just keep loading up, and I have probably about 60K invested in my Time Waver stuff. And I bought Healys, and I got Mag Healys and all that stuff. But it's what I do, and it helps people. So that's me. You guys have the Healy, which is both worlds. You have the little bit of the resonance where you can send stuff out, and then you have the frequencies, which is what the Time Waver frequency does. So it's unique. You got two worlds in one. That makes it something that I don't see too much of, and also, you know, the ability for Time Waver users to put programs in for you. Just a little note. There will be the ability to put some of the stuff I have in the Time Waver Pro, those lists, into the resonance for you guys. I just heard that. So what that means is, I know you guys don't see my system, but we have close to 600,000 items that we can put into. It's like the resonance side. So we got Bach flowers, and we got, you know, things like the I Ching. All that stuff comes from Time Waver. We're going to have the ability for me to do a scan with the bigger system with all those databases, and then send whatever comes up to a Healy resonance. That's pretty big. We're already able to do programs to your Mag Healy. So if you didn't know that, if you go to the expert section and you generate a TAN, I can put that in your Mag Healy. So you can broadcast those programs in the atmosphere, or keep it on you for Mag Healy. Any of the programs that the Time Waver users have can be added to your Mag Healy now.
Wow, that is so cool. And everyone's
That
like,
is cool. Yeah. It was kind of a mistake for, I don't know, I don't want to call it a mistake, but someone said, "Oh, I sent you my Mag Healy, and now I'm running it through that." And I didn't know. And I go, "Really?" So she said, "Yeah, it's my favorite program. I turn it on and run it every day." So that's when I kind of found out, and I started asking. I go, "Hey, can we do that?" Go, "Oh yeah." So it's possible now. I don't know if everybody knows that, but anyway, that's kind of good, cool news.
amazing. And so just a quick question on that. When
Mhm.
load it into the Mag Healy, does that go, is that one that you put on your body, or is it an atmosphere? Like, where does it end up and how do you apply it?
Yeah, well, again, Mag Healy, it's using that magnetic field. So depends on the program, I would say. You can place it next to you. Some of the programs I have are more, again, in the physical. And then I have the atmosphere ones where you're flying around. Yeah, like the astral travel, things like that. Yeah, the frequencies that I have are pretty wild, some of them anyway. But a lot of them I use, for balancing. We start you off, the way you make programs is you're kind of telling a little story for people. But maybe you have a question later about that, how we do the program. So I don't want to get off track here.
That would be actually, that'd be great if you can, because I know, so there has been a question that's been asked multiple times about, and I did ask you this the other day, like, the idea of artificial intelligence and like how, is Healy interfacing with that? And I know your response was that the programs are all developed by humans. And if you read, actually I want to invite everyone who has questions about these things to read Carolyn McMacken's book as well, The Resonance Effect, because she outlines her process over 20 years of taking a frequency. She had like a piece of paper with like inflammation, 40 hertz, like that there's like the specific, each frequency is a specific key to a single door. And so when the practitioners are working with these, like developing these protocols, they're like trying every single key to see which key will unlock that door. And it's her whole process, like 20 years of going down the list of different numbers with different people and saying, is this the right key? And if it's not the right key, nothing happens. Like the door won't open. But if it is, then things can change like instantaneously. So yeah, if you just speak a little bit to that, like to how you develop the programs and how how the frequencies come into play and how it's did.
Okay, well, just to clarify things, Healy is and Time Waver, what we're doing is we're stacking single frequencies, one after the other. We're running, we get to run a square wave if you know about different waves. Sorry, it's a rectangle wave. And what we're doing is, again, it's a single frequency that is stacked. Carol McMacken, she does something, it's in her Mag Healy's under McMacken Pro. Those are dual frequencies. And again, what we're doing is we have like a 40 is inflammation, and then we do something to a tissue. So I like to do actually the spinal cord, 4010. And what that does is it just totally relaxes you. It's like you're stoned. It's like, and again, her frequencies are dual frequencies. So it's almost like a surgery without a scalpel. You're kind of pinpointing different things. We pinpoint different organs, tissues, muscles, bones, and it's amazing because I do that too. I have it's in my module on my Time Waver frequency. That was, that's those little extra things. And I also have other devices that do dual currents. So this doesn't do dual current. This Mag Healy does dual currents, but the Healy doesn't. So so that's the difference between Carol McMacken and the book. I think someone mentioned it's called The Resonance Effect. Amazing book. It tells her journey, how she found that little piece of paper or some things, and then she brought it back. And I've taken her workshops or her seminars online, and then I've actually went to Arizona this year and hung out with her. And she's coming to Hawaii in August, and she's going to stay here at my house, and we're going to have 2 master classes in my little shack that I built out there in August. So yeah, Carol's coming here, and we're kind of buddies. Yeah. So
how much space do you have in that masterclass? I think you might.
Well, okay. The requirements for the class is you need to actually take a core. They're having a core. So The core is going to be open in Hawaii. They're having it it's the King Cam Hotel. This is in August or maybe July, August. You have to look at that schedule. And then they're going to have the master classes here. You need to at least have a core and take an advanced, and I want to say even like almost like teacher training. The master classes are going to be like 4 hours. We're going to have one table, and it's almost like we have a cup of coffee and everybody's talking about different things that they've done or how would we do that. We put somebody on there. It's just kind of free for all. It's wonderful because you know, we already know what we're doing, most of us. And then we can ask specific questions because she's a master. It's so amazing. She's such a wealth of knowledge. It's like a walking medical book. And, you know, she did sell pharmaceuticals be also in there. She was selling those. So she knows which supplements to take and what they do. Like I said, she's an amazing person. So it's so wonderful that, you know, she's coming here. We get to get that energy in our place. Our place, we call it Kuke Aloha, and it means the endless, I want to say, never-ending love. And we created it for people to help heal themselves because I really don't, I'm not a healer. We are all self-healers. And what I do is I help people find the key to heal yourself. And we built this place for that. And we've had some amazing people come through here actually. So that's what's going on there. I kind of got off track there. What was I talking about again? Oh, making programs. So yeah, so Carolyn, I just want to clarify, it's a little bit different. We got dual frequencies with Carol McMacken. It really gets confused. I always see that out there, people comparing her book to Healy. It's just a little different because 2 frequencies compared to the 1 in sequence. So about making programs, this is the fun part. What happens usually, I know some people out there that, you know, we've created some things, you see how I do it. So I have a database of frequencies that I sourced, and then Time Waver has frequencies that they have. Nuno Nina actually has amazing list of frequencies. But what we do is you tell me what you need or what you want to happen, and we look at the frequencies that we have in our database, in my database, and we put programs together. And it's a lot of fun. So usually I start off with, it just depends, you know, sometimes it starts off with your detoxing your kidney because you want to keep that clean because you're going to start releasing toxins for something else. And you want the kidney to be clean because that's kind of your filter. So you got to kind of know about that. So otherwise it gets clogged up and all these toxins don't have any place to go. And then you get these weird things happening. So you kind of have to know that. And then other programs, you know, we want to get centered and balanced and clear and maybe turn off part of your brain and open things up and fly around, things like that. So again, it's a lot of fun. Most of the programs I have are actually inspired by someone asking for something, actually. So that's how they get created. And yeah, again, it's pretty wild, and they do work. I know people say you may be just starting or you don't have a Healy, or I've seen people say it's foo-foo stuff. I've made tens of thousands of programs. I have. And the feedback I get, it just confirms it. And I don't doubt it. And that's the other thing, doubt. Okay, when you're using your Healy, if you have any doubt, that actually is an off switch. I always send some affirmations or sample ones that you use with before you run a program. So, you know, give it a little bit of power. I always, if you look at my description, I know you've probably seen them 100 times. I have my programs, but I always say, You know, it's when you get in a taxi and you don't tell the driver where you want to go, nothing happens. And that's the same thing with Healy, even in life. If you don't give things direction or even ask, nothing's going to happen. So you do have to have a little effort. You can't just press a button and have things happen. It's not like a microwave.
Right, so that you have to be, you know, an active participant in this process. And I
Mhm.
think that really that it's the same with any process of bringing our system into balance. It's never like an external, you know, 100% like, oh, just fix me, not going to someone, not taking anything. Like that there has to always be,
Mhm.
you know, really collaborative experience. So that's beautiful to hear how you express that collaboration with the device and with the technology itself. And that, you know, really looking at quantum physics, you know, I started reading books about quantum physics when I was in high school, not like textbooks or anything, but
Mhm.
one called The Quark and the Jaguar that I read many years ago. And it really, you know, one of the tenets of this field is that there are particles and waves, right? That things are either manifest or unmanifest, but that what makes a wave turn into a particle is that it's observed. That until it's observed, there is no solid material. And there's actually, I think I've seen a few reposts recently of like, I think it was just posted this in her story, so she can maybe
Mhm.
remind me where it came from. But there was like, I think it was a recent Nobel Prize that came through. Yeah, it was a Nobel Prize.
It is. Mhm.
Or can you just like, you can probably explain it better than I can, but basically it was like that the Nobel Prize winning scientist hypothesis and, you know, whatever like findings are that things are only uh, real when we see them, essentially. So
Yeah,
share on that a little.
exactly. So quantum entanglement, you know, there is no time, no space, it just happens instantly. And it's basically a thought, and we can connect to that. And that's what, like I was telling you about that Ho'oponopono program. It's thoughts, it's intentions, and that's what's getting to you. And that's what I put in those programs. And if you felt that one, it's there. And also, I say it's almost like being a chef. So if you go to, there's a bakery, let's say, and there's two bakeries, one, you know, across the street from the other, and they're selling the same thing, but that bakery, the line is out the door, and the other one is just a few people there, and you're going, wow, what's going on? Everybody likes this one. That's kind of how it works with uh, the programs. It's really what you put into it. I put my intention, I put, again, you know where I came from. So I'm not here to hurt people. So it's all good stuff. And you probably feel that in there, that little bit of wow, this is kind of a transformation thing, because that's what I went through. And then I was mentioning how, you know, all the things that happened to me, how I appreciate that. What happened was I had talked to God and I asked him if I was a bad person. And he told me, you're not a bad person. It's life and it's lessons, and that's why you're here. Those weren't, just don't do those again. And he told me that forgive yourself and you'll be free, because that's when I was really on drugs, and what happened was I didn't like myself. I felt guilty, and I just wanted to hide. But I talked to God and he told me to forgive myself. And it took a little while, but there's a spot here on the Big Island called Pu'uhonua now, and it's a place of forgiveness, and that's the purpose of it. And I went there, and that's when just tears of, it was joy. I was just happiness, joy, and all the people that I hurt forgave me. It was right there that happened. It was pretty amazing. So any of you that are, you know, kind of stuck, uh, you need to forgive yourself. That's the secret.
Wow, yeah, that's Um, that Ho'oponopono program, for anyone
Mhm.
who like doesn't know what that means, is a Hawaiian protocol of disentangling interrelationships and disentangling
Mhm.
places where we haven't forgiven ourselves and others. So it's an amazing process and beautiful program as well.
Yes, this is my daughter. You might hear her. This is Makana. This is Makana. Say hi,
Hi.
everybody. You gotta take that out. Say hi. Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning. I'm getting ready for school. Say, I'm getting ready for school. Okay. Say bye.
Bye, Makana.
Makana means gift in Hawaiian. So our little gift.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to bring you back around to another kind of more technical question, which
Okay.
is, what do you know about how data is used and stored and accessed? Like, if
Mhm.
you know how much you know about the Healy in this sense, but I'm sure TimeWaver also has very high levels of encryption and all that. Can you just share a little bit about that?
Okay, yeah, the encryption they use is it's a high level, and what happens is it's all kind of stored, with your master key. So if any of you noticed, when you lose your master key, you lose everything. So that it's it's encrypted in there. So it cannot be used by anybody else. We don't have to worry about that. I've talked to the guys in Germany because they're the developers. TimeWaver is again, it's the parent company, so I get to deal with them. I talk to them all the time, and they're my buddies over there too. Because I've had a lot of problems actually with my systems. My frequency was down for about 2 or 3 months. I had to send it back to Germany. It wasn't working right. So anyway, I picked their brains too. And we don't have to worry about, AI. We're talking about things like, let's say Facebook, or what is it, that face recognition, and then it starts recording things about you, where you're moving, all this stuff. We don't have to worry about that with TimeWaver or Healy. It's not collecting that kind of information. It's not going to sell it to anybody. It's not going to, send you bad things and that type of thing. If you're thinking that way, then I don't know, I don't want to say you're a little twisted, but I know we have to think about things like that, because it is out there, but not with Healy and TimeWaver. Believe me, again, Marcus was a monk. If you've ever met him, he's just the most gentlest little pussycat. Yeah, I've got to meet him. I went to Germany. I actually went to this little shindig in San Francisco where there was just doctors, and I got invited, and that was pretty amazing. So everybody's calling me Dr. Nakamura, but anyway, there was just about 12 of us hanging out with Marcus, and that was pretty amazing. And I went to Florida, and got to kind of hang out with them there. So again, nothing like that is to worry about with Healy and TimeWaver.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thanks for that. Jessica said she met you in Florida.
He met me in Florida. Okay, I was like the pipe up. I had a Mag Healy, and it's like everywhere I went, I had these people follow me around. Like, anyway, it was cool. I got to meet a lot of people that I had programs out there for, and it's always wonderful because, yeah, when you send me something, I try to pull up your profile if I can see it, and then I send you the program, and I really connect with each and every one of you. I want to say that I spend a lot of time each time I send programs, and you see my response where I give you affirmations and all that. So I'm connecting with each and every one of you when I make programs. So that's why it feels different from other people that you get programs from. Again, it's like being a chef. So we're all a little bit different, and it's what goes into the program. And
Yeah, beautiful. And that's really something that I feel personally around, what it is that kind of bigger picture that we're doing here is that this is a support for us to really, really essentially self-express more, like to have more space, more openings, more availability for our own truth to come through. And so each person that is connected with this, each practitioner who's creating programs, each one of us, like we're all here really opening up that space internally for more of us to come through. And so much of you comes through in what you give, and it's beautiful, and we appreciate that so much, Derek. And and I think I just want to speak to that as well, like this idea of like good frequencies and bad frequencies and dark and everything. And I, just as much as it can go on that side, like if your mind is taking you to that side of the fence, which is what are the worst things that could happen here, like how could I be vulnerable to like negative things happening through this, I want to invite you to, if your mind has wandered in that direction, allow it or invite it to wander in the other direction as well. Like, what is the best that could possibly happen with support? What are the best things that could be unlocked with good intentions, right? Like, what are the things that, like, how far could we move collectively in the other direction if we had tools and like, just as much as that we all know that this is happening, like, can we allow and open up and participate in something that could actually be bringing us in the other direction? And that's that's where I love to play in my own reality. Personally, is this thought that I'm having, is this experience, am I giving my energy to something that's pulling me farther away from the direction that I want to be and the place that I want to experience, the things that I want to live, or how can I really lend my energy in the direction of solutions, in the direction of moving into where I want to be? So and I feel that you just really embody and exemplify that so beautifully here, Derek. Like, I mean, I don't think there's anyone that could hear you and listen to you and feel you in this space and think like, oh, like Derek's like trying to.
He was a thug and used to steal stuff.
or just just hearing you and feeling like your delight in this process, and that like how you express the fun side of this, like just getting like kind of like going out there and enjoying like these wild frequencies and going on these journeys and creating, like being a chef and creating more beauty and just enjoying and that it's so that kind of like innocent space like really comes through. And I feel the same way when I hear Marcus speak and his like delight. He was on a Zoom a few weeks ago, and he was just so lit up and delighted about, he's like, yeah, and the we're really covering how the frequencies like move through the interstitial water and like are amplified water in the body. I mean, he's just like, woo, like he's so in that world of exploration and yes, and delight and joy and really what more is possible here, what beauty can we uncover, like how can we bring things into a more whole and joyful place. So that is that's really what I'm receiving from just being here with you and from hearing from him and being in this community. And I know we're at the top of the hour here, but I just wanted to ask one more question. And I want to kind of presence here for all of you who are like brand new and kind of coming here to get like beginners information about Healy and all that. If you're here and you didn't get your questions answered, please just reach out to the person who invited you here, because there's lots of basic information that we can get to. This is a little bit more of a, this isn't like a basics of a Healy kind of call. This is us really going to frequency school. This has a different purpose. So if you do want more basic information, please connect with whoever sent you here and we'll get you all that. But the last question that I want to ask you, Derek, is, what are some of the most impactful things that you've witnessed and experienced as a practitioner, as someone who's been using this personally and also, applying and working with so many people, like thousands of frequencies that you've created,
Mhm.
you know, tell us some of the places, the experiences in your practice that made your heart crack open the most.
It was probably the one that really touched me was a program where an autistic person in their like 30s. What happened was we made a program with the father, and the next day or so, I got an email back and it said, "Thank you so much." And I said, "Wow." He goes, "Well, my son shook my hand, smiled, and said thank you." And I went, "Wow." So, that was special. He goes, he said he's never done that before. And he's like 30, 32, 34. And when I got that one, I just tears came out. I just went, "Oh my God, this is powerful." And that was when I was first, making programs or creating programs with people. And that was really a touching one. Other ones where you get a little bit of shift where some autism, I work with that, and they hear stories of where my child's smiling now, we're interacting, he's not banging his head against the wall. I mean, things like that, where our other people said, I'm free now, you know, uh, gosh, there's a lot of them. Um, I have one called Wealth and Abundance, and that's like the biggest one. I want to say I've had stories where people tell me this one, she said she went to the casino and won the jackpot on the same machine like 3 times. So those kind of things. But I also had, some Chinese, a team order that one, and they were using the abundance part for asking for health. And that was amazing too, because they were telling me how, they don't have trouble walking up the steps like they usually did, or they're not fatigued, or they're feeling happy and more energy. So those kind of things too with that Wealth and Abundance program. And just, the new ones that I've been creating with, again, with some intentions and affirmations. I've been experimenting with those. Those are the power ones. I just got a set of frequencies for Maya tones, and I'm trying to work with that with the program. I was trying to run it now on my Mag Healy. So yeah, just again, having fun and raising the vibration of the planet one by one, all over the world. It's like you put a little bit of a vibration here, a little bit of vibration there, pretty much starts resonating and that kind of thing. So people say sometimes when they run the program, their world around them changes. Like one was the gratitude one. She asked me, "Yeah, I need something for that. It's just having some bad vibes around." So she went shopping, and all the places where she usually has a hard time, she said those people were so nice to her. So again, it kind of just vibrates everything. And that's what we get to do with this. You were mentioning about, bad things and stuff. But yeah, they're out there. But if we don't focus on that, then that's, we're focusing on this, we're creating our reality. And whatever we think about, whatever we focus on, that's what attracts to us. I live in Hawaii, and we're kind of surrounded by water. I don't feel any of this pressure that's going on. I really don't focus on that. That's not my world. So what I focus on is beautiful, and that's what comes to me, and that's what happens. And we can all do that. So don't worry about all that other stuff, because when you worry about that, that comes into your field, and we don't want that in our field. So really, whatever we focus on, that's what we can create, and that becomes our life. It's wonderful. And our daughter is another one. We adopted her. She's 3, and she actually found us. I think that's how it works. But we asked for that, and that happened. Yes. So that's my 2 cents.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Derek. And I know, like I said, so many questions rolling in. Everyone, we could have you on here for
a couple hours, huh?
but I know that it's 7 a.m. in Hawaii. So thank you
Mhm.
so much for taking this time, getting up early to be with us, and right in the middle of like getting your daughter off to school. And
Mhm.
yeah, your presence is really, really deeply appreciated. And if you'd like to just share how people can contact you, I know people put your website in the comments here.
Okay,
But
website, and I'll put my email in there too. You can send email, but yeah, I get kind of busy sometimes, so I'm not ignoring you. It's just you got to get in line, okay? Yeah,
the line,
and I try to take the weekends off. So
yeah,
Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes I take 3-day weekends, but anyway, I'm not ignoring you. Just know
beautiful.
that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Derek. And yeah, we're going to do another, we're going to bring in another social media
Mhm.
challenge, I guess you could call it, coming
Okay.
up this coming Monday. So for those of you who are interested in earning one of Derek's programs for free, we'll be revealing the details about that
Are you
shortly.
doing the Quantum Leap program or is it a different one?
I'm not sure. I think maybe we'll try to figure it out. I think a lot of people already have the Quantum Leap, but
Mhm.
we'll talk about it and figure out. But what we
Okay.
do with post 11 days consecutively in your social media, in your stories about what you're doing, what we're doing, then
Daddy.
all of that, then you'll get one of Derek's programs for free. So come to the next call. We'll share more.
Daddy.
Thank you so much, Derek. You are
Okay,
amazing.
everybody. Aloha. Have a wonderful afternoon, morning, evening.
Wherever
And,
you are. All
and
right.
a hui hou. A hui hou means till we meet again.
Bye.